Okay,
Hey,
yay,
but there's feedback.
hallelujah.
Somebody says, all good now? Okay, great.
Okay, great. So, talking about mixed signals, and we're having mixed signals. Look at that. I remember back when I was single, I never knew if a guy was flirting with me ever. I
Really?
never knew. No, I had no idea. But the second we got married, I always know when a guy's flirting with me now. It's like the minute we got married. I remember it was like a week after we got married. We were at some potluck party, whatever, quite some time ago. And I remember I went to the buffet and I'm like getting some grub and whatever. And this guy starts chatting with me and I'm holding my plate on top of my hand like this. And so, of course, the plate is hiding my wedding ring. So I started saying husband like every 2 seconds. I was like, my husband, husband, where's my husband? Did I say something about my husband? My husband, did I mention I have a husband? And I got so uncomfortable and it was so weird. And there was this weird voice in my head that was, I never knew when a guy was flirting with me out in, when I was single, ever. I never had any clue. So what is that? And then suddenly it switched the second I got married.
Well, I don't know what that is. I think, your internal, perception of things because you weren't interested, right? And these guys, you weren't interested in what was going on. Suddenly you could see their behavior in a way very differently. I think a lot of times what happens, especially with the women that we talk to, is that you fill in the blanks, right? Either you want because you find him cute, you find him interesting, and you want him to be interested in you. You'll look for any little subtle clue that he's interested, right? And so you're like, please just show me. Oh, he asked me about my hair. He must be interested, right?
Or he's gay.
Or he's gay, right?
If he's asking about hair.
Yes, exactly. Or, right, if you're not interested in him, then you're not paying attention. You're not noticing the signals that he actually is flirting with you or he actually is interested in you. And this even goes further, right? When you get into, when you're exclusively dating somebody, I was going to say get into a relationship, but not yet, right? Before you get into the relationship, you're always like, well, does he really like me? Does he not like me? Where is this going? Where is this going? It always comes down to the conversation. Where is this going?
Or is it even going anywhere?
Is it going anywhere, right?
Mixed signals. So here's the thing about mixed signals. I love what Matthew said. Well, I love Matthew. And I love what he just said. Because he said that your mind is filling in the blanks, right? Your mind is filling in the blanks. Now, the great thing about that is when you recognize that your mind is filling in the blanks, there's two ways that your mind does that. So your mind can be filling in the blanks and leading things towards the negative, like for everything, or it could be slanting everything towards the positive. But either way, your mind does this so we don't have to relearn how to do things over and over and over again. Can you explain a little bit about that works? And before you do that, I'm going to do this and introduce us. Hi there, I'm Orna Walters.
I'm Matthew Walters.
And we are the co-founders of Creating Love on Purpose. You have joined our love intervention. You're going to have a chance to ask us anything you like. We're here to help you with your dating, mating, and relating questions. Matthew, how does our brain do this?
Well, we don't want to get too in the weeds about this, but let's just say this, right? That there's literally a ton of information coming at you at all times. Sensory information, colors, light, smell, sound, textures of your clothes on your skin. There's also internal information going on. There's your thoughts, there's your emotions, there's this internal dialogue, there's all of this input coming into your brain at every moment of every day.
That's right? A lot of information.
And it doesn't stop. It's constant, nonstop. The only time it stops is when you're unconscious asleep, right? And yet we're not paying attention to 99.999% of all that information, right? We're ignoring it and we're just paying attention to certain types of information. They get highlighted for us. Now, it's not like you're making a conscious choice. I'm just going to notice right now the tree, right? I'm not going to pay attention to anything else but the tree, right? We don't do that because we would be exhausted all day trying to decide what piece of information are we supposed to pay attention to. So our brain does it for us. This really remarkable machine you got right here does it all for you. Now, the question I ask when I hear that, right, I go, okay, my brain is sorting through, filtering through all this information and picking up the stuff that it thinks is important for me to pay attention to.
Right.
So because I'm not doing that consciously, right? What criteria is my brain using?
What criteria? So I want to make it really simple. On a normal day, when you're just moving through your life, millions of bits of information, you're paying attention to only 5 to 9 bits. 5 to 9. That's it. 5 to 9.
Any more than
That's
9, and
it.
you're going to be in overwhelm. It's
You're-
just too much information.
It's too much information. So, what criteria is it using? Bingo. Where's our bell? Ding, ding.
Ding,
We need
ding.
one. Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding. Right? Like, this is the thing we want you to know about mixed signals, right? Now, you can ask us about mixed signals if you think you're getting mixed messages or mixed signals. Mixed messages is come here, go away. Mixed messages, right? Mixed signals are you're misinterpreting the signals, right? Like we had somebody tell us earlier about he was on a date and he said, I knew she liked me because she kept touching me, right? She leaned over, she touched him a few times, right? She touched him a little bit.
That's a good signal.
That's a good signal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that signal because it says that she's interested in me, right?
They
And-
can't see that. He's touching me now. Not in my private room.
No, just on her knee.
Just has his hand on my knee.
Right. So
Yeah.
So the criteria, what criteria does that part of your brain use? I just want to come back to this because this is really important.
It actually really is, especially through the dating process.
Yes.
We want you to understand why you do, like how this works, okay?
Yeah. So the criteria it uses is literally your beliefs, your values, and your past experiences. And that's the most important one. Your
Ooh.
past experiences, right? So your past experiences, because that part of your brain that's doing the filtering, its job is to keep you alive, right?
That's the only job
That's
it
its
has.
most important job. It's like, I got to keep this person alive, right? And so it's saying, well, based on my past experience, this was, an experience in which I survived. And so this experience is okay. So I can highlight this experience, like this experience is okay because I survived this experience.
Or another way of saying that is, I can bring you more of these types of experiences because you're still alive.
Yeah.
So anything you've survived, you might get more of it. Because the thing is, this part of you that's sifting through all this information, it has no idea whether you're alive and blissfully happy and zen, or if you're miserable and suicidal. It literally has no clue. It cannot evaluate how you're feeling, how you're doing, or what that feels like. All it's doing is having this sort of inner thing about, I got to bring you more of what you've had before. I got to bring you more of what you had before. So we're talking about mixed signals. If you have a question about mixed signals, please go ahead and put it in the chat. If you have a question about anything else, this is an AMA and ask us anything.
Yep,
I know
and
AMA is technically
We're here
ask
for a
me
love
anything.
intervention, right? We're here to say, hey, look, the way you're thinking about this, the way the strategy you're using, the belief you have maybe isn't serving you to get that long-lasting, soul-satisfying love you desire. So we're here to intervene.
And set you on the right course.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we're going to do
here
it all with love because
Yeah.
we love you and we think you deserve love. Every single one of you watching this,
Yes.
listening to our voices, seeing our faces, we know that you deserve love.
You
And
are
there's
worthy.
nothing you've done,
Nothing
there's
in
nothing
the
you
past,
said, there's
nothing.
no experience you had that makes you unworthy of love.
You are worthy. Bingo. I need a little wand. I have one somewhere. I'm going to bring my wand next time.
Yeah.
I need a wand and a bell and a ding. And I want to be one of those disc jockeys from 1976. So we have this. I don't think it's a question yet. So Adam says, I've always been of the belief that everyone is entitled to their equal in the opposite sex in various categories, physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually. That's awesome, Adam. Is there a question in there? So if you have a question
I
for
actually
us.
have a couple things to say about that.
Okay.
So first, it's clear Adam is heterosexual, which is, fine. Nothing wrong with that. But, opposite sex. Okay. So opposites, yes, opposites do attract, right? But you may be of the same sex and be opposites. So I'm just throwing that out there. In terms of this equal, I get entitled, right? Entitled makes sense because we all deserve love. We're all entitled to that long-lasting, soul-satisfying love we desire, right? But are you going to end up in that soulmate relationship with this perfect opposite of you, right? Who's physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually sort of your yin to their yin to your yang, right? Or maybe we just open up the window a little bit and say, hey, this is another human being over here who's different from me, right? Similar in a lot of ways, but also different. And some of those differences are great and I love them and they're awesome. And some of those differences drive me crazy. right? But those differences all come in
I
this great package right here of this person that I know is Orna Walters, my wife, who I love very much.
I have no idea what
Right.
you're talking
So
about.
so I wouldn't
Just kidding.
say she's my yin to my yang, because
I'm
then
a totally different person than he is.
right, different strategies, different emotional responses to different experiences, right?
So that's why I was saying, is there a question in there? Because my question to Adam is, what do you mean by equal, right? Like, do you have equal rights in the relationship? Yes, absolutely, right? Can men raise the babies and the women be the breadwinner? Yes, absolutely. Like, you get to create your true soul partnership, your soulmate relationship.
Yeah.
You get to decide how you would like it to function and then filter through your dates for a person who matches that vision. Unfortunately, most people date backwards.
Yep.
Dating backwards. It's a thing. So most people date backwards, meaning they go out in the world, they wait for that sparkles, chemistry, all the yummy good feeling. Oh wow, this person lights me up kind of thing. And then when it doesn't work out 3 to 6 months later, wah wah, they're heartbroken and wondering what happened. So what
Missed
happened?
signals, mixed signals.
Missed signals and mixed signals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's get into some actual questions. And Adam, if you got a question, feel free to put it in there. If you're on Facebook, give us a like, give us a share. You can comment in Facebook, and our team will make sure we get that question. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell, follow us there, right? Tag your friends, all that great stuff.
Yeah, give us a like, a share if you're following us, watching us right now on Facebook. Again, I'm Orna Walters. This is Matthew Walters. We are having a love intervention. We want to set you on the right path to that long-lasting, satisfying love. And the thing, the opposites attract. I just got to throw in this one little piece because about mixed signals. I think part of it is that there's a lot of talk in our industry anyway. A lot of dating coaches out there are talking about this idea of understanding men or understanding women, as if understanding how the other gender sort of kind of does things, that somehow that's going to help you through the dating process. And here's the deal. Understanding that we are sometimes different, right? That gender lines can have boundaries in the way we tend to do things. And so one of the things that I know is men generally don't pick up on subtle hints. Now I'm drawing these horrible boundaries with I know how I want to say it. Instead of making it bad, I'm going to make it good. We're painting with large brush strokes. So we're not painting.
There are always
details.
Exceptions to these general rules.
Yes, there are always exceptions. We're not talking about the exceptions. We're talking about, we're just going to paint with a wide brush. Like, maybe you've heard of the best-selling, amazing selling, ultra best-selling book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. This has that same idea.
Mm-hmm.
Understand each other. Now, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. We've met a lot and had a lot of clients that are women who are from Mars, right? So that book won't cover everybody, but it's a nice sort of majority match of how the dance of relationship and the dance of masculine and feminine comes together. But we want you to understand opposites do attract, and it's for a very specific reason, because it's in nature. It's literally built into species survival. Literally built into species survival. I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
So that's why opposites do attract one another. So we're here to answer your questions. We're here to intervene in your love life in a good way so that we can help you find that long-lasting and soul-satisfying love, that soulmate relationship, that one where you're going to figure it out. I'm going to say something I think is really important. The reason why we're so passionate about this work that we do is because we're not sitting here in front of you because we did everything right. That ain't no.
We didn't even meet until we were both over 40, and neither has ever been married. One of the reasons we say we're experts in love, dating, and relationship is because between the two of us, we pretty much made every mistake you can make.
It's true.
So if you've done it, we've probably done it or something like it, and we can understand.
Probably pretty close. So the thing is, and I want to say that's true from before we met, but also a lot of things have gone wrong in our relationship. We've been thrown a lot of curveballs that we didn't expect. We still are here to work it out together, right? We still love each other. We still spend pretty much every minute of every day together. And we're here to tell you, you don't have to do your soulmate relationship that way, right? Like maybe you're here because you like the way we sort of interact with each other. That's cool. But you know what? Make sure you craft what your soulmate relationship looks like and how it functions before you have a person in mind Otherwise, you're dating backwards. So we circled back to that.
Exactly. So there's actually these first two questions we're going to get into are sort of the same questions, so I'm going to address them at the same time. Right. So first we got Sarah. Sarah says, I've been divorced for nearly 8 years and I can't find anyone to date. I'm on a couple dating apps and I live in a small town. Help. And then Lynn says, I'm on a dating site too, but also don't meet many guys that are close to my age. I've gone 5 years younger and 5 years older than me. So we're hearing about dating apps and the struggles with dating apps. And believe me, that's a common struggle. And I want to start by saying this, that if you're looking to meet people who are interested in a relationship, a dating app or a dating site is probably your best bet because those people are at least interested in meeting people. Not everybody's interested in a relationship, but those people are interested in meeting people.
Yep.
Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the app or they wouldn't be on the dating site. So that's the best pool. Let's just start there. The best pool for meeting people is a dating app. Now, the most important thing, however, about a dating app is if you don't know how to use the tool doesn't work. And I don't mean to say that as like, boy, you know, Sarah and Lynn, you guys don't know what you're doing, right? Mm-mm. But you're using a tool that there's no manual for, and yet you need a manual about how to best use this tool so that you can start getting results from it. And the first thought I want to put in both of your brains is this. Your profile is marketing. I'm just going to say that. Your profile is marketing.
It's just marketing material. Like it's not personal about you. But if you've ever talked to somebody who has their own business, marketing gives you feedback. And so people hone their marketing. They tweak their marketing. They're constantly evolving their marketing messaging to make sure their ideal clients are attracted to their marketing. Their ideal clients. So your ideal client are those dates that you're looking and hoping to get, the kind of person you're interested in meeting. So ideally, your profile should make the right kind of person go, ooh, I want to know more about this person, and make the wrong kind of person go, wah, wah. And you know what? There's tons of exceptions, especially if you're hot. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
If you're hot, you're going to get you're going to hear from a lot of people. But here's the thing. Don't ever feel like you have to get back to everybody that reaches out to you. I mean, I know it's a nice thing to do, and depending on your age range, right, where your age and your age range that you're looking for to meet somebody, this can change about how many people are reaching out to you. But it's one of those things. So you can easily weed people out, but you do not want to have such a high criteria like you're opening some kind of PI firm, right, before you'll actually meet somebody. So you don't want your criteria so high. Like, let's put it this way. Don't look for a soulmate in a profile. Don't look for a soulmate in a profile. You have to know one thing and one thing only from the profile. Is the person, somewhat, a little bit attractive, a little bit, right? Somewhat. You want to know more. Like you look at their face.
Is this person attractive? What do you think? You're hilarious. Yeah, so we say it this way. You're looking for reasons to say yes, not looking for reasons to say no, right? So many people get on the apps and they go, no, 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 right? They're just scrolling through people and just rejecting them before they know anything about them. The truth is a picture or even a profile doesn't tell you that much about who somebody is. If there's something in either one of those that's interesting, then swipe the other way or send a like or send a quick message or whatever it is, right? Reach out to more people than you think you're actually going to be interested in, because you're going to have to start sifting through. And then once you get to that place where you meet them in person for that first date, which is just a meet and should only be about an hour, right? When you're having coffee or a cocktail or whatever it is, it's simple. And then you can go, who is this person in real life? And are they interesting enough to go on a second date with?
I mean, the first thing
is this my soulmate? Not
just do I want to know more?
Do I want to know more?
I mean, all you need to meet in person is they're not an axe murderer. Like, really, that's it. Meet in a public place, make it for like an hour, right? Lunch is always good because lunch is short, right? A cocktail at happy hour, a lunch, a coffee, a tea, right? Make it easy. I did my own version of speed dating way, way back in the day. We used to live in Santa Monica, California, and I'd just set up in 3 different coffee shops. I'd start in Pete's Coffee, and then I'd go down to the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, and then an hour and a half later, I'd go back down to did I say Starbucks yet? No,
No,
Starbucks. So
yeah.
it was like Starbucks. And then I worked my way back up, then back to Coffee Bean, then back to Pete's, then back to, and I just did that on a Sunday afternoon. Like every hour and a half, I had somebody new to meet. And I just spend my afternoon meeting different people for the first time. So the first time you want to meet, you just want to know, is this person who they say they are? Look, if you can do that even earlier before that first meet in person and do it on a video chat, even better. Like especially if the app you're on lets you do a little video chat, that's cool. You can always have that phone call in between, for those, especially the ladies, if you're feeling a little sensitive, like, I don't know yet. I don't know enough info to feel safe. That's really all you need. But if, you're meeting in public, just make sure it's a public place, lots of people around, and just meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Every single person that you meet knows people you haven't met yet. So Adam says something interesting. He says, I believe opposites attract, but I'm not sure they can last together long term. And I'm like, we're very much alike in our values. Matthew and I just want to say that. We are very, Adam, I'm talking to you there. We are very much alike in what we value, right? That's why we can always get back on the same page. But as people, we're very different. I'm very extroverted. I always say other people are my generator. Room. Matthew needs alone time, like alone, in order to recharge.
I like a good cave.
Yeah, he likes to call it a cave.
Yeah. So Lynn makes a comment about our question. She says, I agree, profiles marketing, and wrote it with that in mind. Awesome picks. Also great.
Yep.
How long should one stay on one dating site? And are there some dating sites that are better than others? Okay. Really quick, because we don't need to go into all the details about dating sites, but I think you want to go like this. Pick one that's really large. Pick a match,
a big pool,
Plenty of Fish,
a Bumble,
any of those that has a huge pool of people. And then pick one that fits who you are.
A little niche site.
Maybe there's a
Christian
Mingle, right? Farmers Only.
Silver Singles.
Veggie Date, right? There's a lot of different sites out there for people with different interests.
Farmers Only.
We said that one, right?
Oh.
You said Silver Singers too, right? So pick one that's
this pool of people, big, lots, big ocean, right? A big ocean. And then pick a little stream. So pick two. Be on at least two, always be on two sites. So have a little niche site that says more about you, is a little more specific about who you are and what you enjoy doing and what you want your life to be about. And then just throw yourself in one of those big oceans, right? Like a Match.com, a Plenty of Fish, a Bumble, Hinge, whatever. It's really, the tool is the tool, right? I mean, it's not, fitness singles. That's a good one too, right?
Yeah.
Adam says in the chat. So you can really make it about something you enjoy, a part of your life that you enjoy. And you want to make sure you're in that big pool of people as well. So, great, Lynn. I'm happy to see that you're on Silver Singles.
Also get on Match or Plenty of Fish or any of those other
Bumble
large sites.
Or Hinge or whatever.
Bumble, Hinge. Be on a big site and one of those niche sites.
Yeah.
Because you're going to, we had a client in England. She lives in a small village in England. And
really
small, right? And she was just on a Silver Singles type over there, and she wasn't getting a lot of action, and the men she was meeting, quite frankly, were kind of boring. And suddenly we said, well, get on Plenty of Fish as well. And suddenly she's like, oh, suddenly I have a lot more action. There's a lot more people, right? So,
and she's actually driving, into town, which is I think about an hour and a half away or 2 hours away or something, to go and meet people for the first time instead of in her little village, right? It's just too small. So you've got to be a little bit flexible about that. Here's the thing. When you're dating on a dating site, it's kind of like putting credits in your dating bank, right? I mean, Matthew and I both were on multiple sites, but we happened to meet in real life. We met through a business networking group.
Yeah.
That's how we met each other. But we both had a lot of credits in the dating, bank. We had a lot of credits in there from dating online, right? So it's really about where is your mind set. This whole how do I meet, don't worry about meeting your person. How do I meet this one person?
Just meet people.
You just have to be invested in the dating process. So we have a dear friend who talks about sending out ships like back in the olden days. And
like a merchant would build a ship, and then he would fill the ship with all the goods he had collected,
all
right?
All
the treasure, and he'd send it off to trade that treasure and see what treasure came back in return. Now, if he just built one ship and he sent that ship off and just waited, What happens if that ship
Yep.
hits a storm or pirates or whatever, right? He's lost. He lost his ship, right? He just lost everything. So instead of
Mm-mm.
just building one ship and sending it out and hoping that ship is your ship that's going to come back, hoping your ship comes in, right? The phrase, you send out another ship and another ship and another ship
Dozens.
and another ship,
Send
dozens of
out thousands
ships,
of
send out
ships.
lots of
We're
ships.
talking about dating. Here's the thing. You don't know. I think this is the most important thing to tell them.
Yeah.
When you meet that person for the first time, that person is a stranger. So never, 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 never put your lovability in the hands of a stranger. Never. And never emotionally invest in someone you have not met in person. If you have not met in person, you cannot invest your heart. You just can't. Because,
That's how you get scammed.
well, not only that, but it's also, remember, we started off with mixed signals
Mixed signals.
and how our brains fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be filling in the blanks and slanting things towards the positive, and you imagine this great chemistry between the two of you. But you don't know if that chemistry is real until you're in the same physical space with that person. And now you get the full experience of them. It's better on video chat. You see they are who they say they are, blah, 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 but you don't have their energy, that ever elusive aura, right? You don't really feel what it's like to be in that person's presence until you're live with that person. So never invest your heart until you have met in person. And even on the first few dates, remember, everybody's always on their best behavior.
Yeah.
So use that first part of the dating process to do a little discovery about yourself. Do a little self-discovery. Because what do all the sages say, right? Know thyself. Know thyself. And one of the things that we wholeheartedly believe is that you connect with your beloved, your soulmate partner on the path to your highest and best self. So if you utilize the dating process as a self-discovery process, there's so much good to learn, and you can never really have a bad date.
Right?
You just can't.
You can never have a bad date because that bad date is information.
Great info.
Right? It's like, oh, I'm more clear on what I don't want. Oh, I suddenly noticed that I was behaving in a way that I don't like, right? But let me give it an example. So we had this client, and she lived in a big city, and she got a couple of guys who were interested in her who didn't live in the city. They lived out in the country. And one guy decided they had such a connection on the phone and everything. He booked a whole weekend in her city, in her home.
You're taking the train in.
He's taking the train in, right? So, and they're going to spend the weekend together. They haven't met in person yet. So he comes in on the train, they meet at the train station, and they go to a coffee shop, and she notices right away that there is no chemistry. And she also notices that this conversation is awkward. It's not going anywhere. So what does she do? Well, what she does and what she really noticed about herself was she started trying to rescue the guy and rescue the situation.
And make it all better.
And what that means is that she's like, oh, well, this isn't very fun. Why don't we go somewhere else? Why don't I drive you around and show you my town, right? Let's go to the museum or let's go to the park and let me show you the sights, right? She suddenly starts playing the role of the man in that situation and stepping into her masculine. And here she is now going, oh, what am I going to do this whole weekend? Because I already know that this relationship isn't going anywhere and this guy's committed to being here the whole weekend. Wah, wah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You don't want to have a whole bit, make it an hour, right? Even if somebody's coming into your town, right? There's always something interesting to do in your city, your town, your place. If somebody says, I want to come to you, it doesn't mean you have to accommodate their every need or desire. You're two grown people, right? We've all, hopefully traveled a little bit here and there. So if somebody's coming to meet you, that's great. Set up an hour meet, right?
Yeah.
Let them figure out the rest of their weekend. You don't have to leverage everything on, oh my God, we're going to spend the weekend together on a first meet.
Exactly.
So you just really want to take things slowly. And the reason why people rush, we understand it. And we've made a lot of those. I'll speak for myself. I made a lot of those mistakes.
Yeah.
Rushing to exclusivity because I didn't want to date anymore. It's like, oh, somebody wanted to scoop me off the market. Great. Yay. Now I'm in a relationship. Unfortunately, that's not the fastest path to a long-term relationship. You end up in a lot of short-term relationships, right? 3, 6 months, maybe 9 months, right?
Next thing you know, a year, 2 years, 3 years have passed. You've had a lot of short-term relationships and you're not any closer to your goal.
So the goal is to slow things down, meaning don't go exclusive, keep dating other people. And yes, probably delay the sex if sex means exclusivity for you, right? So there's that. But in the realm of mixed messages in the dating process, I think there's a big one that women misunderstand a lot. And we hear this, back in the before times, before COVID, we were hosting our Love on Purpose Mastery, which is a big retreat. It's a 4-month intensive. We call it like a spiritual open heart surgery. It begins with a retreat in LA, in Los Angeles, ends in a retreat on Maui in the Hawaiian Islands.
Mhm.
Amazing 4-month intensive. And I remember that summer there was one summer, I think it might have been the last one before COVID that we did, where it was like all the ladies kept saying, he just talks about himself. 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 He never asks about me. He never asks about me. He never. Matthew, what is going on with these guys talking about themselves?
Well, they're
Please.
just so selfish, they don't even think of you. I'm kidding.
No.
Kidding. That's not what's going on. No, I know. I had to give that answer first. What's really going on with these men who are just talking about themselves is, in their own misguided way, they're trying to impress you. They're trying to show you how smart they are, how clever they are, how good they are at their job, right? Whatever their thing is that they're talking about, they're thinking this is the way they're going to puff up their feathers and get your attention, right? And say, look at me, look at me, look how smart I am, look how clever I am. And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? We all do it as men. That's what we want.
It means he likes you. So this is what I want ladies to understand. If he's talking a lot about himself, that is a guy who at least is trying to impress you. He just doesn't know how to impress you. So missed signals. This is a big missed signal that a lot of times women think if he isn't asking about you specifically and he doesn't seem interested in finding out more about you and he's talking about himself, that's a guy who's nervous, probably.
Right.
So a little nervous talker. I can relate a little bit. Nervous talker, filling in all the empty space and making sure there aren't any lulls in the conversation, want to keep things rolling and showing off a little bit. So for the guys, I want to say this. It's really important for you, certainly, to notice if you're nervous talking about yourself too much, right? But for the ladies, it's an easy redirect. Like, that is a guy who is interested in you, who likes you, but doesn't know how to impress you. Easy redirect, right? You don't have to be so buttoned up that you're just going along. I think that women in the dating process have a lot of missed signals from men, myself included, when I was single, because we are so we so don't want to misbehave. It's kind of like we want to be accommodating, right? We want to be nice. And here's the thing. We're not saying to ever be unkind, right? We always say, watch your heart karma, right? We like don't two adults who have been going out for a while, you don't have to ghost the person. You could just say, hey, you know what? We're not a match. And I really, whatever. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation. So here's the thing. Guy is talking about himself incessantly. You don't have to act interested. Like, if you're like, he's going on and on, you can literally, like, Matthew, talk about yourself a little bit. I'm going to do a little role play.
So today, I had a really busy day at work. And we had this meeting, and you know how those meetings go, they just go on and on and on. And there I was at the meeting thinking, what am I going to do to get out of this meeting? And
I'm sorry, Matt. Can I call you Matt, or is it Matthew?
I prefer Matthew.
Oh, you prefer Matthew? Okay. Matthew, you've talked so much about your work, and do you even know what I do? Like, I was just kind of curious. Are you curious about me at all in any way?
Oh, I am so sorry. Yes. So tell me about yourself. What do you do? How was your day at work?
My day at work was spectacular because I love my job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. See, quick redirect. You don't have to make the person bad or wrong. You can just say, hey, go this direction, not that direction. So, guys trying to impress you, he's probably talking too much. Give him a redirect, take it another direction. There was something else I was going to say, and it just left my head. So
it's okay. This is a really great.
Lynn says.
I love this question. This is a great question, Lynn.
Last guy I met was very kind, but dressed very sloppily and didn't smell very good. I did find a kind way to tell him that he was not the guy for me, and he was kind back. What is a good way to tell a person you are not interested after you met?
You just did it. You're not the guy for me. That's really it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you were kind and then he was kind. Because here's the
Yeah.
thing, everybody wants to be treated respectfully. That's really all. Just be respectful on a date. Never be mean. But what you want to do is if you're not a match, you can say, oh, you know what? I don't think we're a match. I've gotten really clear on what it is that I'm looking for, and we're not a match, but I know your match is out there, and I wish you the best of luck. And that part, you can't fake it. That part, you have to really wish that human being the best of luck because there's a lid for every pot. There's a lid for every pot. And here's the thing, like Adam said something earlier I saw about there's some study that I love studies, by the way. I'm like a research whore. Like I love research. And so Adam said something about how like some study said something like there should be about 1,000 people you're compatible with. I think this is such an interesting
Yeah.
sort
So
of
compatibility
yeah,
is such an
compatibility is
interesting
such an
thing.
interesting thing because here's one of the problems with some of those dating sites. And here's where we want to share a little bit about those missed signals, right? You can't screw it up with the right person.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say the wrong thing and you can't do the wrong thing if it's the right person. And I don't mean the right person because, oh my gosh, you want them to be the right person.
Right?
It's not
Fate.
that. That's not it. Like I said, Matt, a lot of things went wrong for us. You know, in the beginning, in the middle, even now, and we're not anywhere near ending because we're going to be together forever. I know I can count on this guy as sure as I know the sun will rise tomorrow. I know that we're going to be together always. And I say that only to say, isn't that what you really want? Don't you want somebody who's going to stand by you no matter what happens, no matter what curveballs and challenges life throws your way, that you can count on that person? And I used to, when we would be able to host our live events, which hopefully we'll get back to this year, we would host our Getting It Right This Time weekend. And at our live weekend, at some point over the weekend, I would say something like, look, if it hadn't been Matthew, it would have been someone else.
What?
Yeah, the whole audience like gasps. They're so just like, what the what, right? And they're like, Orna, he's right there. He heard you. But here's the thing. It's not like I'm disappointed that it's Matthew. I love that it's this guy because I love this guy. But the feelings we had at the beginning feel shallow compared to the depth of love that we share for each other after all of these years together. And so, what I really want you to understand is that selecting an ideal mate takes time. That the feelings that you have in the beginning, you want that spark of attraction, but you don't want to rush in because of those feelings, because the feelings are only one ingredient of many, like in a recipe that you get to create for yourself. That's why I say know the kind of relationship you want and how you want it to function. And then that way you don't have as many missed signals, missed messages, missed signals, right? I mean, like this person who told us, oh man, she kept touching me while we were talking and meeting. And I was like, oh, she likes me, right? Like that's a really clear signal. And maybe you don't know right off the bat. And look, there's a lot of women who think that men just want sex. And there's a lot of men that think women just, are gold diggers and want somebody to provide for them. And that's not really what we're finding is true in the online space per se. I mean, do those people exist? Yeah, but it's the same percentage of people that are in real life that are wired that way, right? So there's a way for you to find the quote unquote right person for you. But it's not because everything's gone right, so to speak. Sometimes you discover that person is right for you when things have gone wrong, when there's been a miscommunication, when you've had a little bump in the road, when you've had a little bit of a disagreement or a conflict. Because if you're choosing somebody to spend your life with, you're going to have miscommunication. You're going to have some disagreements. You're going to have some conflict. How does this other person's strategies around miscommunication, disagreements, and conflict, right? How do those work out? Because most people are conflict avoidant. Like, oh, no, that didn't happen. Oh, well, we're going to pretend that didn't happen. I'm going to sit on my hands that way. I won't talk.
So, you're hilarious. You're done talking. So let's, one more thing about missed signals. Orna sort of alluded to it, and I just want to bring it back around. And because, this is really our topic for today, missed signals, one of the missed signals that you'll get, and I'm going to tell you this before I first say, if you're on Facebook, give us a like, give us a share. You can comment in, if you have a question, you can comment in the chat on Facebook because our team will bring it over here and let us see it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell, all that
Comment
good
below.
stuff.
Our
Tag
team
your
will get back to you
friends,
too if you have a question.
Share. So when we think about it just being a feeling, when we're looking for a feeling, oftentimes one of the reasons why we're struggling, why we're not 22 anymore, we're 32 or we're 42, we're thinking about other people. I just mean we and the we of people.
The royal
right?
we.
The royal we.
All right.
Right? When we think of the we of human beings, right? When you're older and you're still struggling to get it right. And I want to say, look, that happens. We were 40 when we met. We weren't 25, right? So sometimes it takes a while to get it right. However, if you're relying on a feeling and you're still struggling, maybe that feeling isn't a good signal. Maybe that feeling, that signal that you think is love, you think is attraction, maybe it's actually something else, right? Maybe it's your subconscious sending you a signal that says danger, 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 and you're confusing danger, danger with excitement, excitement, right? So start paying attention to those signals about attraction and how they trigger you to behave differently, say, than you normally would if that signal wasn't there. Do you twist into a pretzel? Do you try to be, how can I be most attractive to this person? What are they really looking for, right? Do you twist into a pretzel and try to take a different shape? Or do you find that you shut down and you agree and you become very agreeable, right? Because you don't want to offend and you become accommodating because you don't want to scare this person away because, oh my God, you have the feels, right? And you're no longer paying attention to, is this a good person for me, right? That's really important to start noticing because if that's going on, there's something deeper happening and you really want to talk to us because that's what we do.
So there's a great question from Jolene up there. Can we take it back there?
Yes.
Yeah, so Jolene, here we go.
You got it? Oh, there it is.
No, there it is. Okay, the guy I'm dating is a great guy, but he can sometimes be very blunt in his communication. And if I tell him he has offended me or hurt my feelings, he replies, nobody can offend you or hurt your feelings.
Only you can decide whether to react that way. There's more.
Oh, I see. Only you can decide. Okay. I feel shut down and invalidated. How do I get him to communicate more kindly? This is an interesting one.
I'm going to start with this. So I want to say this. Sometimes there are things that are true that are not kind or helpful, right? And sometimes we get stuck on communicating things that are true, right? Because her boyfriend, Jolene, your boyfriend is correct. Nobody can offend you / hurt your feelings. Only you can decide whether to react that way. That is a deep spiritual truth, right? And it's a deep spiritual lesson that takes us decades to live and actually exist in that way.
I'm going to use an example. I mean, I love this example because I want to prove that anybody who's thinking maybe that isn't true, I just want to prove it's true. And just, it could be totally different things for yourself, but I'll personally share, right? That if somebody out in the world or wherever right now says, Orna, you're stupid, right? I would laugh that off as water off a duck's back, doesn't land at all because I know I'm smart. So that would not bother me in the least. Orna, you're stupid, or you're being stupid, or you're acting stupid, or whatever, right?
Come on, dummy, right?
Yeah, any of that. I'd be like, who are you talking to? What? Where's that dummy person? Like, not me, right? Because I don't relate to that in any way. It's not a wound of mine. I don't have any triggers around that. I don't have any issues about whether I'm smart or dumb or whatever. However, if somebody commented on my weight, ooh, ouch, ooh, it doesn't matter. It can even be like a sort of weirdly worded compliment, about my weight. like my voice got all squeaky even. Right? So I just want to say, so this is true, right? It's a spiritual truth, right? Nobody can offend you. However, it's not helpful in his communication because it's almost like he's dodging responsibility. And I bet, Jolene, that you feel hurt, right? That there isn't sort of this responsibility or this softening of his communication. And so I find it really interesting that he's sort of sending it back to you as if it's all of your responsibility, because like communication is a 50-50, right? It's like, If you're, let's say you're on a 2-lane road and there's a cement barricade in the middle of that 2-lane road, what's on your side of the street is your stuff. And what's on the other person's, on the other side of the barricade, on the other side of the street, that's all the other person's stuff. And it's true that no one can offend you. However, there is a way to actually ask him to communicate more kindly, is by, instead of saying, you hurt me, or you
Right.
offended me, or
Right. I wish you wouldn't, say that anymore because it's hurtful. Right.
Yeah. And however, I'm not sure how you're saying it, Jolene, or even if you're still listening to us live here, but I just want to say it like this. If you want to share how you would feel if somebody communicated differently, you might try something like this. I would really feel cared for. Let me say this. I really feel cared for when someone is interested in hearing how I feel about something, or how something lands with me. And when someone isn't interested in hearing about how I feel, I start to feel disconnected from them. And I feel like there's this like cavern between us. And so it would be great if, when I share how I'm feeling about something, that you be open to hear it and acknowledge that my feelings are valid, because I really do feel like my feelings are valid, and how you feel is also valid.
So that's a really great way to say that, right? Because notice how she used I language. I feel this. This is my experience. So what's really great about the next thing that happens is really important, because the next thing that happens tells you everything, well, not everything, but most of what you need to know about that other person, right? If that other person is able to hear you and go, oh, I appreciate you sharing with me your experience and how you feel, that makes sense, right? Now notice that makes sense. It's not saying I agree with you, meaning I also believe that, right? Because you don't have to agree, but you just say that makes sense, right? And that creates this wonderful thing of seeing and being seen, right? It creates a wonderful connection.
This little intimacy
However,
thing. That's what our fingers are doing. This is
emotional intimacy.
in our
Right?
sign
However,
language.
if that person says, well, I guess, I mean, I don't know why you would think it that way, because that doesn't make sense to me, right? And they argue with you about your feelings and your experience, or they invalidate your feelings and your experience, like it sounds like this guy you're
Or
seeing is doing,
argues
or
with
they
you.
argue with you about your
Why
feelings
do you
and your
feel like
experience.
that? Because
Well, I mean, I wouldn't feel like that. I would feel like this, right? It tells you about who that person is in relationship, and you get to decide, oh, well, now that this person has revealed to me who they are in relationship, because I've used all I language, I didn't blame them, I didn't attack them, I just said, this is my experience, this is what I feel, this is what I would like. Maybe I make a request in there, right? And that person then reveals to you that they're not able to hear you, or validate your feelings, or any of that kind of stuff, right? Then you get to make a decision. You get to say, well, I know I'm attracted to this person, and I know that at times we get along really great. We both like the same kind of movies, right? However, they invalidate my feelings every time I get upset. What's more important? Your feelings.
your feelings. Your feelings are way more important. So this is the thing about dating. The goal of dating is to cultivate discernment through that dating process, and so that you can identify an ideal match. And it's not something that's done quickly, because it's kind of like, am I still getting like the yellow light, the caution, right? Proceed with caution, right?
Right.
I'd like to proceed and find out more. But when you reach the red light, a deselect, right? Because it's just as important through the dating process to know who to deselect as well as it is to select. So the selection process shouldn't be, green light, go, 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 exclusivity. No. You want to start with a yellow caution. Oh, it's sort of like the dating process is look for reasons to say yes, leave your heart open, know the kind of person you're looking for. Just like if you're looking for a job, you're going to know the kind of job you're looking for.
Right.
How much does it pay? How many days do you get off? Does it have benefits? What kind of relationship do you want, right? What's your relationship supposed to look like? How does it function? What, all of those kinds of things. Know the answers to those things.
What's really important to you in your intimate relationships.
So
right?
Then you start dating with a template in mind about who to match up with, right? And so when you find somebody that's like, oh, I think, this is going well, great, I'd like to know more. Oh, I'd like to know more. Oh, I'd like to proceed with caution. proceed with caution. So the goal is to have be cautious and a little healthy dose of skepticism before you've met in person, for sure, especially from the online pool, right? You want to meet in person, know the person is who they say they are. Don't invest emotionally in any way, shape, or form. No one can ever take advantage of you as long as you always keep your heart, to yourself until you know who that person is, who they are. And then you slowly get to know that person as they reveal more of who they are. So here's the thing about communication that I want to share with Jolene and everybody else listening, but it's a really important tip. But before I do that, I'm going to say one more time. If you're watching us right now on Facebook, give us a like, a share, a comment. Give us some love. We want some love on Facebook. And hey, tag your friends that might be interested in getting a love intervention. Mm-hmm. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, click that bell, the little subscribe button. You can make comments there. Our team will actually pass on any questions that show up either in Facebook or YouTube or right now here live so we can answer them live. That's what love intervention is all about. Here's the communication thing I really want everybody to hear. You can only judge the success of your communication by one thing and one thing only. Because the biggest mistake people make about communication is they judge the success of their communication based on how the other person responds to them. That's a lot of power to give.
That is.
Especially in the dating process when that person's still a stranger. So that's what we mean by don't put your lovability in the hands of a stranger. Don't do it. Instead, you can judge the success of your communication by one criteria. How authentic were you? Don't say at the end of a date, I had a really great time, if you didn't have a really good time. If you didn't have a really good time and it was awkward and you don't say I had a really good time, that person's probably going to deselect you. But if it was awkward and you tried to make it all better, like that example Matthew started giving about the client who tried to make everything better for the guy who came in for the weekend, right? Of course he asked her out again, and then she declined. But he asked her because she kept trying to make it better. If you're not having a good time, end it early. Oh my God, the one time I did this, I felt like I grew like 3 inches, right? Taking care of yourself is being able to be kind and communicate with kindness, but with authenticity. So it's perfectly acceptable to say, you know what, I really wish you the best, but we're not a match. And just bow out early if you have to, especially if you're uncomfortable. And ladies, if you feel at all unsafe, ever feel even an inkling of feeling unsafe, get out of there, right? Get out. Like I'm serious, like it's really important that you take care of yourself first and take care of yourself emotionally by judging the success of your communication by how authentic you were, right? I remember once I had a boyfriend talked about missed signals, right? Like I remember ex-boyfriend, he said something to me like, you're overreacting. Any ladies hear this? You're overreacting. You're overreacting. I was like, excuse me, where's the meter?
Where's the reaction meter?
Yeah, where's the reaction meter? Because I was just reacting in a way he didn't like. I didn't think it was over. I thought I was reacting appropriately.
Yeah.
So how authentic can you be? How can you authentically express yourself?
So we've been talking about missed signals today, and I just want to end with a little story of my own, a little personal story about this. So I had mixed signals when it came to what, was a good relationship for me or not, right? And it really came down to this idea that growing up, I learned in my family of origin that love felt like rejection, right? Because my family, like every great typical Midwestern family, did not know how to communicate how they felt. Instead, they would just make fun of you if they liked you. And being born into this system, I had, 3 older brothers and an older sister. So it was well established by the time I came around. I didn't really get that, right? I didn't get that, oh, they love me, that's why they're making fun of me. I kept hearing, oh, you're making fun of me, there must be something wrong with me. So that's what love felt like. So if I met a woman and there was some subtle rejection from her, I'd be like, I don't know, I like her. Oh, I really like her, right? Now, if it was a straight out rejection, right, I wouldn't get caught up into that. But that subtle rejection, that little like, you're kind of a nice guy, but you're not really my type. I'd be like, oh, I don't know. I could be, right?
Let me win you over.
Let me win you over, right? And then if I met a girl who was like, wow, you're really cute. I like you. I'd go, huh, I don't know. Wait till you get to know me, right? And then I'd be like, well, what's wrong with you that you like this over here? Because there's that old Groucho Marx quote, right? I never want to be a member of a club who would have somebody like me as a member. So look for those subtle mixed signals within yourself about where what your subconscious says is love is not really what you consciously desire, right? You can see it in your patterns. You can see it if you look backwards over the types of relationship you had. You can start to look at that relationship history and go, oh, it's interesting. I tend to be in these kinds of situations, right? The guys may be different, but I think you'll find the dynamic gets similar almost every time.
Yeah, you want to take like a relationship inventory, right? And go back through your history, right? And notice any recurring themes or repetitions. Right. Yeah. You can even start looking at who initiated the breakup. Right. Yeah. I know for I almost never ended the relationship. I almost always got dumped. Always. Oh, I had my heart broken so many times. There's a great question from Jack that we had trouble with sound. So we're not going to stop right on the nose at the top of the hour. We're going to run a little long because we started a little late because nobody could hear us. So we had a little technical problems at the top. So we're going to take Jack's question. But before we do that, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit the bell, subscribe. You'll be notified of the next Love Intervention. If you're watching on Facebook, give us a like, a comment, share, tag your friends. Give us a little love there. And we're going to answer this last question. I want you to take a stab at this one.
All right.
Jack says, okay. I'll read it and you answer.
You got it.
All right. I don't know if I've ever been in love. I'm a 44-year-old man with a great life, and I do want to share my life with someone. I'm not gay.
Okay, thanks, Jack.
All right, that's pretty direct. I like that. I don't know. Is there hope for me? I just don't know. Oh, he doesn't know if he's ever been in love at 44 years old.
Sometimes, there's a subconscious block inside of us that doesn't let us receive the love that is coming towards us, right? And so when we block love in that way, I'm just going to jump in here, Jack, and assume that there's probably something like that going on because of what you said. That when we block love in that way, that we miss it, right? We get a missed signal because we don't see that there are people who are trying to love us, but we're not able to open and receive it. Because we always say this, the love you seek is inside of you and is reflected back to you through the eyes of your beloved. The love you seek is inside of you and it's reflected back to you through the eyes of your beloved. So if you don't feel lovable, then you're not going to be able to receive love from somebody else. In fact, you'll reject it. You'll say, oh, that doesn't feel right. Now, is there hope for you? Yes. And I'll tell you exactly why there's hope for you, because you said, I do want to share my life with someone. Yes. That's important to you. As long as that is important to you, there is hope for you because you can figure this out.
So we believe that, we are spirit, right, coming into this human form. And because we are spirit coming into this human form, and if you've ever been around a newborn baby, you know it's true, because a newborn baby comes in with no blocks to love. We come in as the human embodiment, like the physical embodiment of the energy of love.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we like being around newborn babies so much, because they shine that spotlight of love on anyone who's around, and they receive love from anybody who's willing to give it. And it's just such a beautiful light inside, a newborn baby. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when we're out in the world and we see a little baby that's out, we'll nudge each other and be like, look.
No blocks.
No blocks. And so that's what we want you to know, Jack. We want you to know that you came into the world just like every other human baby, as the human embodiment of the energy of love. And that makes love your birthright. So there's definitely hope for you. But where are you closed off to your emotional experience? Because I think a lot of times in our society, in Western society, we're so caught up with our thoughts and our thinking that we forget that we have this whole other part, another system. And that other system is our emotional life. And our emotional life functions through our body. All of our emotions are body sensation. And so can you start loving yourself more by paying attention to your emotional life through your body sensations? right? Can you start putting a focus on your feeling state and not so much on your thinking state? So that would be my advice, to start there, start with yourself, and then start being curious about other people that you interact with and how their feeling state, what their feeling state might be, right? One of the biggest life lessons for people to learn is to show up and voice their authentic feeling state. Most people sort of show up at the figurative emotional restaurant by seeing what everybody else is ordering at the table before placing their own order, right? In other words, we walk into a room, we see how everyone else is feeling, and then we decide and jockey our positioning based on how everyone else is feeling. And that is completely inauthentic by its nature. So I would say maybe start a practice of paying attention to your feeling state. Because I think you will find, if you've never really felt that sensation of falling in love, right, that perhaps it's because there's some kind of block, certainly, maybe from a trauma, maybe something you don't even remember. Because the way we come into the world and the people that raise us, our parents, our caregivers, our primary caregivers, however their relation to you, whether they're biological parents or not, has a great effect on how we show up in our intimate relationships. And you can do all of the healing work in the world, but all of it will start with really tapping into all of your emotional experience through your body sensation.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone who's participated tonight. Thank you to Adam and Lynn and Jolene
and
Jack, right? And everybody for your questions. Thank you for your participation. This is really great. This is Love Intervention. I'm Matthew Walters.
Hi, I'm Orna Walters.
Right, and we're going to be here back in 2 weeks, April 11th at 8 p.m. So please join us then. And as always, remember that the love you seek is inside of you and will be reflected back to you through the eyes of your beloved.
Make it